Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Brittany if this is your first time here. I am currently pregnant with our sixth child who is due the fall of 2019. And as the title says, I'm going to go over why I'm high risk. I have 3 factors that make me high risk, and I'm going to kind of try to explain each 3 and how I was diagnosed with them and how they've kind of played out throughout my pregnancies. So the 3 factors that I deal with that make me high risk is an incompetent cervix, preterm labor, and irritable uterus. So an incompetent cervix is when the cervix starts to efface or shorten or dilate, which is to open before term. Typically, this is done, most of the time it happens, it's painless. You really don't feel it changing. There's not like contractions accompanying it typically. It's just a shortening of the cervix. The preterm labor is exactly what it sounds like. Preterm labor before your term. This is going to be your contractions that are building every 5 minutes. They are happening in a pattern. They're not going away, and it is causing the cervix to change. Whereas the incompetent cervix is considered changing without a labor pattern. And the third thing that I experience is called an irritable uterus or uterine irritability. Now, these are contractions that aren't necessarily in a pattern, and they're not producing a labor setting in your uterus. Like, it's not going to expel the baby. It's not shortening your cervix. They're not building in power. They're not 10 minutes and 5 minutes and 3 minutes. There's just contractions all day long. I was diagnosed with irritable uterus my first pregnancy. So I went all through that pregnancy experiencing contractions all the time, and I thought this is just a normal pregnancy. I thought everyone had contractions all day long. So when we went into our second pregnancy, I figured I was experiencing the same thing. I had contractions, but they weren't in a pattern. There wasn't, the 411, 4 contractions, 4 in an hour lasting a minute, or whatever. There was none of that. So I went in during my second pregnancy for a checkup at about 25 weeks and 5 days. And I mentioned to her again that I had mentioned the whole pregnancy. Yes, I'm still having Braxton Hicks. And I said, by the way, I'm allowed to travel, correct? And she said, yes. I said, tomorrow I'm leaving on a big trip. I'm going to be about 13 to 14 hours. And she said, that's fine. Just make sure you get out every 2 to 3 hours to stretch and walk around, drink plenty of fluids. And I said, okay. And she said, but you know what? Let's just check you just in case. That way you don't get down the road and something happens. And I said, yeah, no problem. She checked me, and to both of our shock, I was 3 centimeters dilated. I was 50% effaced. And they did not tell me at the time, because I think they knew I was already like sheer panic. But at the time, my bags of water were bulging through my dilated cervix, and she could see the top of his head and his hair. So I was immediately hospitalized in this case, and I spent the next 6 or 7 weeks in the hospital. I was released for a couple of days and then readmitted. And then I ended up ultimately delivering him at 33 weeks and 3 days. So we never did, in that case, I was never officially diagnosed with an incompetent cervix or preterm labor, because it was kind of like we didn't know. There was a shortening, opening cervix, yes. There was contractions, yes. But there wasn't a pattern, and it wasn't like I was in labor. So we just kind of summed it up as hoping it was a fluke. And I was told Any more pregnancies I had, my risk chances were going to be higher because I had delivered early. But we would try the progesterone or McKenna shots with those pregnancies in the hopes that I would be able to carry to term. So I have the irritable uterus, it contracts all the time, and it's really hard for me to differentiate between the irritable uterus and preterm labor. The only way that I can kind of, navigate and see if I need to go to labor and delivery is I go through like my checklist for an irritable uterus. It can be contracting from a full bladder, your pants being too tight, standing on your feet too long, laying down too long, sitting funny. So I will immediately start going through my checklist. Okay, do I need to empty my bladder? Do I need to lay down? Do I need to stand up? Do I need to change my pants? Do I need to do cat-cow to get this baby to wiggle right so it stops ticking off my uterus? And with each pregnancy, I've had to be extremely careful to monitor these contractions. So that's where we are with trying to navigate why I'm high risk, because we don't have an exact answer. We can't say 100% it's an incompetent cervix. We can't 100% say it's preterm labor, but we can 100% say there's an irritable uterus. So that one we do know for a fact. It's just difficult. So with all of my pregnancies, I usually go on bed rest. I've watched the trend. At about 28 weeks, my body will try to slip into delivering that baby. I can't say 100% it's because it's an incompetent cervix. I can't 100% say it's because it's preterm labor, because it's a mixture of both. But for some reason, week 28 seems to be the week where things start to get a little hairy, and I am usually put on bed rest and can no longer live daily life normally. I have to really modify just about everything. With this current pregnancy, this is our 7th pregnancy, but it will be our 6th child. We have been monitoring my cervix, and it's not something we have spoken to many people about. We've kind of kept it to ourselves because it's just so stressful. The dates coincide for me from July until September is when I was in the hospital with our 2nd son, and so when the dates kind of rolled around this time and my time hop was popping up with all these memories, and we're pregnant with a boy. I've not been pregnant with a boy since our 2nd, who is our premature birth. It really triggered some strong emotions that I wasn't necessarily prepared for. So with this pregnancy, at my 20-week ultrasound, my cervix was measuring absolutely beautiful. It was a freak of nature, I told my husband. It was like 4.6 centimeters, which is like gold. That is amazing. So I continued to live life thinking, I've carried 3 babies since my premature birth, full term. Maybe it was just a fluke. I know we have the funneling, and I think I got kind of relaxed in thinking that we've kind of figured out the magic trick and I should be fine. So I was living daily life and went back 2 weeks later, like I typically do, and at that ultrasound, I had dropped down to about 2.8, 2.9. And this is over a 2-week span. And it was a massive slap in the face. I was about 21 and some change, like 21 and 5 when we did that ultrasound. And boy, oh boy, was that scary. Like, oh my goodness. Or I think I was 22 exactly at that appointment. Like, that is not even at viability. Like, we are weeks away from viability. I know I'm not a candidate for the cerclage. I've been told multiple times I'm not going to ever probably be a candidate because there's not, like, I don't exactly meet the criteria. So I was extremely nervous after that appointment. My doctor was not freaking, was not yelling at me or anything. Not that he yells at me, but he wasn't like, hey, you're on bed rest, you're not going Black Friday shopping, which I will never forgive him for. But I had to go on modified bed rest, and it was hard because I'm used to it. I prepare for it. My family knows it's going to happen, but that's not until like 28, 29 weeks. This was 22 weeks. That's a long time to be on modified bed rest with 5 little ones in the house. I went last Wednesday. She then moved my appointments to weekly, and we checked it again, and it had gone up to 4.1. So clearly for me, even in this pregnancy, bed rest makes a difference. I go back tomorrow, and I'm sure I'll probably put in a little clip of the results of that appointment, but I'll go in tomorrow. Tomorrow's for an echocardiogram for him, but they will check my cervix then anyways. I've not been on bed rest per se this past week, but I've tried to take it easy, but I've kind of lived daily life, so I'm interested to see what it is tomorrow. So, in a nutshell of why I'm high risk, it's either preterm labor, incompetent cervix, or irritable uterus. We'll just pick one of the 3. I think over time I've learned to kind of laugh at the situation. We want these children. We try really hard for these children. All of our children are products of fertility treatments. They're all extremely planned. I like blood, sweat, and tears to get them here full term and healthy. But it's not easy being high risk. And I wish I had more of a definite answer of reason. But if any of you have ever experienced incompetent cervix or preterm labor or have an irritable uterus, please feel free to share your stories in the comments. I look forward to reading them and connecting with other women who experience this. I would love to find like homeopathic tips and tricks on like how to calm your uterus or how to like strengthen your cervix. Is that even a thing? Like I always say, like, man, if I just didn't have this dang wimpy cervix or bum ovaries, like life would be so easy, right? But thank you guys for tuning into this video. I did end up rambling a little bit, so bear with me. If you enjoyed it and would like to see more videos, please make sure to subscribe to our channel. I'm a mommy vlogger, big family vlogger, high-risk pregnancy vlogger, so there'll be videos on all those topics coming soon. Give it a thumbs up if you really liked it, and I look forward to talking with you guys next. Bye, guys.